Obi-Wan's eyes snapped open. He gasped, his hand instinctively reaching for his lightsaber, but instead of the desert sands of Tatooine, he found himself in his quarters at the Jedi Temple. No, that was impossible. The temple had burned. The Jedi had fallen. Anakin had. He sat up, his heart pounding. His hands, they were younger. The deep lines of exile and grief were gone. The weight of 20 years watching over Luke Skywalker had vanished. A dream. It had to be a dream. But the Force whispered otherwise. He stumbled to the window and looked out over Coruscant. Speeders zipped through the sky lanes. Republic gunships flew patrol patterns. The city planet thrived, untouched by the Empire's shadow. The Empire. Obi-Wan's breath caught. The Empire didn't exist yet. This was before. His comlink chirped. Anakin's voice crackled through, young and confident and alive. "Master, the Council's called an emergency meeting. Another separatist attack. You coming?" Obi-Wan's hand trembled as he picked up the comlink. Anakin, not Vader, not the broken, twisted thing he'd left burning on Mustafar. Just Anakin. "I'll be right there," Obi-Wan managed, his voice hoarse. He stared at his reflection in the window. Younger, stronger, unburdened by the failures that had haunted him for decades. The Force had done this. Somehow, impossibly, he'd been sent back to the Clone Wars, back to the moment when everything could still be saved. Or lost forever. Memories flooded his mind. Anakin's fall, Padme's death, Order 66, the purge of the Jedi, the rise of the Empire. He remembered it all, with perfect, agonizing clarity. But here, now, none of it had happened yet. Palpatine still wore the mask of Supreme Chancellor. The clones still believed they fought for the Republic. And Anakin still trusted him. Obi-Wan strapped on his lightsaber, his jaw set with determination. He wouldn't fail this time. He couldn't. But as he stepped into the corridor, one terrible question burned in his mind. How much time did he have before Palpatine made his move? Obi-Wan sat in the council chamber, barely hearing Master Windu's briefing on the Outer Rim sieges. His mind raced through calculations, timelines, moments when Palpatine had tightened his grip. When did the nightmares start? When did Anakin first confide in the Chancellor? When did Palpatine plant the seeds of doubt about the Jedi? He needed to act fast, but carefully. If he moved too soon, Palpatine would sense the danger and adapt. The Sith Lord was brilliant, patient, and had spent decades weaving his plan. One misstep could push everything over the edge. Obi-Wan? He blinked. Master Yoda was staring at him, ancient eyes curious. "Troubled you seem. Sense something, do you?" Everyone turned to look at him. Anakin leaned forward, concerned. Obi-Wan chose his words carefully. "I sense a darkness growing. Closer than we think." Mace Windu frowned. "The Sith Lord we've been searching for?" "Perhaps." Obi-Wan's gaze swept the chamber. How could he tell them the truth? That their Supreme Chancellor was the enemy? That the clones would turn on them? That most of them would be dead within weeks? They'd think him mad. "We should investigate the Chancellor's office," Obi-Wan said quietly. "His emergency powers, his influence over the Senate. Something doesn't feel right." The council exchanged glances. Anakin's expression darkened. "Master, the Chancellor has been our greatest ally," Anakin protested. "Without him, we'd have lost this war already." There it was. The loyalty, the trust, exactly what Palpatine had cultivated. Obi-Wan met his former Padawan's eyes. "Anakin, I need you to trust me. Please, question everything, even those closest to us." Anakin stood abruptly. "What's gotten into you? First you're acting strange all morning, now you're talking about investigating our own Chancellor?" The council watched the exchange with growing concern. Obi-Wan's heart sank. He was pushing too hard, too fast. But what choice did he have? "We'll discuss this later," Mace Windu interjected. "Obi-Wan, if you have evidence, present it. Otherwise, we have a war to fight." The meeting adjourned. Anakin stormed out, without looking back. And somewhere in the Senate building, Palpatine smiled. Obi-Wan stood before the council, every eye fixed on him. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. Silence. Then chaos. Impossible! Ki-Adi-Mundi stood, his voice sharp. The Chancellor has been investigated countless times. Proof you have? Yoda's ears twitched, his expression unreadable. Obi-Wan took a breath. This was the moment, the point of no return. I have seen the future. More silence. Mace Windu leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Explain. The Force sent me back, Obi-Wan said, his voice steady despite the madness of his words. I've lived through what's coming. Palpatine will turn Anakin to the dark side. He'll execute Order 66, a command hidden in the clones' programming that will force them to kill us. The Jedi will be destroyed, the Republic will become an empire, and Anakin will become Darth Vader. The name hung in the air like poison. Anakin, who had been summoned to the emergency session, went pale. That's insane. Master, what are you? I fought you on Mustafar. Obi-Wan continued, his voice breaking. I left you burning. I watched you become a monster. I spent 20 years in exile, guarding your son, waiting for the day he could face you. Tears streamed down his face. The council stared, stunned into silence. I know how this sounds, Obi-Wan whispered. But I'm telling the truth. And if we don't act now, everyone in this room will be dead within days. Mace Windu stood slowly. If what you're saying is true, we need to arrest Palpatine immediately. No, Anakin shouted. You can't just, he's the Supreme Chancellor. He's kept the Republic together. This is treason. Anakin. Obi-Wan turned to him, desperate. I know you trust him. I know he's been kind to you. But it's all a lie. He's been grooming you since you were a child. You're the one who's lying. Anakin's hand moved toward his lightsaber. The council tensed. Yoda raised his staff. Enough. Investigate. We must. Carefully. But outside the temple walls, Palpatine had already felt the disturbance. And the Sith Lord began to move. Anakin couldn't breathe. He stood alone in the temple corridors, his mind spinning. Obi-Wan's words echoed endlessly. Darth Vader. His future self. A Sith Lord. A monster. No, it couldn't be true. Obi-Wan had lost his mind. The war, the stress, it had finally broken him. But what if he was right? Anakin's comlink buzzed, the Chancellor's frequency. Anakin, my boy, I need to speak with you, urgently. He hesitated. Every instinct told him to ignore it, to stay away. But Palpatine had always been there for him, always listened, always understood. He headed to the Senate building. Palpatine waited in his office, hands clasped, his expression grave. I sense great fear in you, Anakin. The Council has been acting strangely. Tell me, what's happened? I sense caucity. Anakin's throat tightened. Obi-Wan, he's saying things, crazy things, about you. About me? Palpatine's eyes widened, perfectly concerned. What sort of things? He says you're a Sith Lord. The words felt ridiculous even as he said them. He says you're going to destroy the Jedi. Turn me into some kind of villain. Palpatine was silent for a long moment. Then he sighed, his face filled with sorrow. I feared this day would come. Anakin's blood went cold. What? The Jedi have grown suspicious of me, Anakin. They see my emergency powers as a threat. They want to remove me by force if necessary. Palpatine's voice was soft, pained. Your master is a good man, but he's been manipulated by the Council. They're planning a coup. No, that's not. Search your feelings. Palpatine stepped closer. You know it's true. The Council doesn't trust you. They never have. But I do, Anakin. I always have. Anakin's hands trembled. The nightmares flashed through his mind. Padme, dying, screaming his name. The Jedi can't help you save her, Palpatine whispered. But I can. The dark side holds powers they would never teach you. Anakin looked up, his eyes filled with desperation. "Show me." And Palpatine smiled. Palpatine stood alone in his office, staring into the Force. Something was wrong. The timeline had shifted. Events that should have unfolded gradually were collapsing inward. Obi-Wan Kenobi knew things he shouldn't. The Council suspected him earlier than planned. Someone or something had interfered. Palpatine's yellow eyes narrowed. He had spent decades building this moment. He would not let some cosmic anomaly destroy his grand design. He pressed a button on his desk. Execute Order 66. Across the galaxy, the signal went out. On Kashyyyk, Commander Gree raised his blaster toward Yoda. On Megiddo, Ki-Adi-Mundi fell in a hail of fire. On Felucia, Aayla Secura was gunned down by her own men. On Utapau, Cody aimed at Obi-Wan's back. But Obi-Wan spun, his lightsaber igniting, deflecting the first bolt. He'd been waiting for this, watching, ready. "I'm sorry, old friend," Obi-Wan whispered as he cut through the attacking clones. He didn't want to kill them. They were victims too. But survival came first. He sprinted for his starfighter, the Force screaming warnings in every direction. At the Jedi Temple, the 501st Legion marched through the front gates. Anakin Skywalker led them, his eyes burning yellow, his new red lightsaber igniting. But the temple wasn't defenseless this time. Mace Windu stood at the entrance, his purple blade humming. Beside him, Kit Fisto, Shaak Ti, and a dozen other masters who'd heeded Obi-Wan's warning. "Anakin," Mace shouted, "stand down! You don't have to do this!" Anakin's voice was cold, mechanical. "The Jedi are traitors. You plotted against the Republic, against the Chancellor." "He lied to you," Shaak Ti stepped forward. "Obi-Wan was right. Palpatine is—" "Enough!" Anakin raised his blade. "You're all going to die." The clones opened fire. The Battle of the Jedi Temple began, but this time, the outcome wasn't certain. In orbit, Obi-Wan's starfighter broke atmosphere. He had one chance, one destination. The Senate building. He was going to end this. Tonight. Obi-Wan's lightsaber screamed through the door. Palpatine turned, his smile cold and knowing. "Ah, Master Kenobi, I've been expecting you." "It's over, Sidious." Obi-Wan stepped into the office, his blade humming. "The Jedi know. The galaxy will know. Your empire dies tonight." Palpatine laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "My empire is already born. Your precious order is burning as we speak." "Not all of them." Obi-Wan raised his lightsaber, and not this time. The Sith Lord ignited his own blade, crimson and crackling with hate. They moved. The duel was vicious, faster than thought. Obi-Wan fought with everything he'd learned not just from this timeline, but from 20 years of regret. Every mistake, every failure, every lesson bought with blood. He would not lose again. But Palpatine was stronger than he remembered. The dark side poured through the Sith Lord like a storm, relentless and overwhelming. Then, the door exploded. Anakin stood in the doorway, his yellow eyes wide, his red lightsaber igniting. Obi-Wan's heart sank. He was too late. Anakin had already fallen. "Good, Anakin," Palpatine hissed. "Kill him." But Anakin didn't move. "Master," his voice was broken, trembling. "Is it true? Will Padme die because of me?" Obi-Wan lowered his blade slightly. This was it, the moment everything hinged on. "Yes," he said quietly. "In the future I saw, you turned to the dark side to save her. But you failed. Palpatine lied. You choked her in your rage. She died giving birth to your children, Luke and Leia. You became Darth Vader, and you spent 20 years serving the man who destroyed everything you loved." Anakin staggered, his lightsaber wavering. "No." Tears streamed down his face. "No, that's not." "He's lying," Palpatine snarled. "I can save her, Anakin. Only I have the power." "You never did," Obi-Wan said. "It was always a lie. She dies because of you, because of him." Anakin's blade deactivated. He turned toward Palpatine. You used me. And Anakin Skywalker ignited his blue lightsaber once more. The three lightsabers clashed in a storm of light. Obi-Wan and Anakin moved as one the way they always should have. Master and apprentice, perfectly synchronized, their bond unbreakable. Palpatine screamed in fury, unleashing torrents of Force lightning. The walls exploded, the floor cracked, the Senate chamber became a battlefield of collapsing stone and fire. You cannot win, Palpatine howled. I am the dark side. And we are the light, Obi-Wan replied, his voice calm. Anakin lunged, his blade cutting through Palpatine's defenses. The Sith Lord stumbled, his hood falling away, revealing his twisted, hateful face. Victory was within reach. Then the Force screamed. Obi-Wan gasped, doubling over as pain exploded through his skull. Reality flickered. The chamber vanished for an instant, replaced by a vision of Tatooine of Luke of the future that no longer existed. Anakin stumbled. Master, what's... The Force was unraveling. Obi-Wan felt it with horrifying clarity. Two timelines colliding, the past and the future, trying to exist in the same moment. The paradox was tearing the galaxy apart. He looked at his hands. They were flickering, fading in and out of existence. No, he whispered. Palpatine laughed, even as blood poured from his wounds. You fool, you've broken the timeline. The Force will consume you, consume everything. Anakin grabbed Obi-Wan's arm. What's happening? Obi-Wan met his eyes, his vision blurring. I don't belong here, Anakin. I was never supposed to come back. The Force, it's rejecting me. Then we'll fix it. Anakin's voice was desperate. We'll find a way. But Obi-Wan knew the truth. There was only one way to fix this. He had to go back, or cease to exist entirely. The chamber shook. Cracks of blinding light split the air. The Force itself was collapsing inward, trying to restore balance. Palpatine struggled to his feet, eyes blazing. If I cannot have my empire, then I will drag you all into oblivion with me. He raised his hands, and the universe began to scream. The Senate chamber was tearing itself apart. Obi-Wan stood at the center of the storm, the Force howling through him. He could feel it pulling him in two directions, backward to his own time, forward into this broken present. Anakin fought beside him, still battling Palpatine, but the Sith Lord was laughing now, feeding on the chaos. You cannot win, Kenobi, Palpatine shrieked. The timeline will devour you. The Force demands balance. Obi-Wan knew he was right. Every second he stayed, the fracture grew worse. Soon, it wouldn't just be him, it would be the entire galaxy, trillions of lives, erased by a paradox he'd created. Anakin! Obi-Wan shouted over the roar. Listen to me! Anakin turned, his face desperate. We can still win. We can... I have to go. The words broke him. Anakin's eyes widened in horror. No! No! You can't leave me! Not again! I'm not leaving you. Obi-Wan gripped his shoulder, tears streaming down his face. I'm trusting you. You know the truth now. You know what Palpatine is. You know what he'll try to do. Don't let him win, Anakin. Save Padme. Save your children. Be the Jedi you were always meant to be. I can't do this without you. Anakin's voice cracked. Yes, you can. Obi-Wan smiled through his tears. You always could. The Force surged. Obi-Wan's body began to dissolve, pulled back across time. Tell Luke. Obi-Wan's voice faded. Tell him, I'm proud of him. Tell him, I'm sorry. Master! Anakin reached out, but his hand passed through empty air. Obi-Wan was gone. Anakin stood alone, his chest heaving, his mind reeling. Palpatine struggled to his feet, broken but alive. Foolish boy, without him, you are nothing. Anakin turned, slowly. His eyes were no longer yellow. They were blue. You're wrong. His voice was steel. He gave me everything I need. He raised his lightsaber. And now, I'm going to finish this. The final battle began. And this time, Anakin Skywalker would not fall.